Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be doing a little story time video about my first apartment horror story. I don't think I've really done like a real story time. I mean, I've spilled tea on employers, but I haven't really told you guys a lot about my life besides like in my vlogs. So I thought that the best way to share my first apartment experience and to keep people from making the same mistake as I did, I would share my story. So first, obviously, to tell the story, I'm gonna have to smoke a little bit. Cheers, guys, if you're smoking along with me. I moved out last year in November after my mom and I got into an argument. She kicked me out. I remember it was about 9:30 a.m. so I just went to work really early and just got on the bus and went to work, and I bought new clothes because the clothes I was wearing were so sweaty from walking so far like in the October heat. I live in Arizona, if you guys don't know, so it's still like 90 degrees in October, so it was really hot. So that same day, I literally moved into Scott's parents' house. I'm so thankful that Scott has like amazing parents that love me more than my actual own parents do. So I did move in with them. Lived there for about a month, and they have like a really nice house, and I enjoyed, you know, not having to pay rent, not having to buy food, but we really wanted like our own place. So we found out about this apartment complex through Scott's stepdad. He knows the owner and he used to do work with the owner, and he would perform the inspections for the apartment like buildings for him, and since like they were friends, he would do it for free. So he told us about this new apartment complex that he like recently renovated, and it was like really cute and hip and trendy. And so we're like, hell yeah, let's like check this out. So me and Scott went to check out the apartment. It was the first apartment that we looked at, and we did sign the lease like immediately, which is something I wouldn't recommend doing. I would take your time, but I felt like I needed to rush myself. I was just like, yeah, this looks great, let's move in. The inside of the apartment was very nice. It had all new like appliances, new cabinets. It had a dishwasher, it had a garbage disposal, had a really big walk-in closet, like exposed brick, new carpet, like faux like wood. The outside of the building was just, it looked like an old California motel. And it was in a pretty sketchy area. It was right next to a rent-a-weekly apartment complex. It was like $99 a week, and so the people in the area, it was a pretty sketchy area, so I was kind of scared living there. But anyways, I'm getting distracted. This is why I wrote down my story. We looked at it and immediately signed the lease. The apartment manager, Joanna, God, I hate that bitch, told us if we didn't know the owner that we would not have been able to get an apartment there, which I thought was really like unprofessional, because like who the fuck says that to someone? Like if like you didn't know the owner, your credit is so bad, you wouldn't have gotten the apartment. Like, bitch, please. We paid the deposit fee that was about $150, which was supposed to be refundable, but I'll get to that later. And our move-in date was set for November 1st. This was probably the end of October, like middle to end of October. And while we were signing the lease, we were told that we had a friends and family discount, that we would get 3 months and free of rent. Like we wouldn't have to pay rent for 3 months. And our apartment was supposed to be furnished when we moved in. So we made numerous trips. Me and Scott made a lot of trips, and then me and my friend Ashley made a lot of trips to my mom's house just to like pack up my stuff, because I was kicked out. So most of my stuff was just untouched, like abandoned shit. I did not start packing to move out at all. Like Scott and I were planning to move out together, but me getting kicked out really like lurched like everything forward. Like we were gonna take our time and like save up a lot of money, but you know, that was literally shattered into a million pieces once when I got kicked out by my mother. So it was a lot of hard work to pack up everything. I fucking hate packing. So when our move-in date was supposed to be on November 1st, me and Scott's mom actually drove over there to the apartment complex to get the key. Scott was at work, so his mom took me over and we brought some of our stuff. And we found out immediately when we got in there that our refrigerator did not work. And as we were walking out of our apartment, we like personally let the maintenance guy know. We're like, hey, our fridge does not work. Like, we obviously need a fridge to be able to live here. Like, where are we gonna keep our food? So we told him, and he said that he would fix it the next day, but it got fixed 5 days later. Like, it was fucking ridiculous. And we also had a really hard time with the cable. So our cable was supposed to be already installed, like ready to go, like as we moved in. Like the apartment was supposed to be move-in ready, which obviously it was not. There was not a single cable cord. There was no cord to plug in the cable at all. Like no cable cord from the ceiling, from any of the walls, nothing. And the first time that Cox came to install our cable for us, the manager, Joanna, left early for the day. She left early every single fucking day. And it was really fucked up because like the owner didn't even know. And like we kind of like ratted on her, and I hope that she like got in trouble. I hope honestly she got fired by now because she did not know how to do her job. Like that she should not have been able to run an apartment complex. Okay, so she left early, and then the next time the cable was going to be installed, Scott and I were both working, so we gave her permission to enter our apartment without us being there, just to let the cable guy in. When I got off work that same day, my friend Ashley and we came back to our apartment because, hello, I got my own apartment. We went there to smoke weed and, you know, just hang out. And also just to make sure that, like, the cable was installed like it was supposed to be. We still were not living there. We were still living at Scott's parents, even though all of our furniture was moved over because everything was supposed to be fixed within the first week. So we had our bed over there, like we were sleeping on the floor of Scott's parents' house. So when we got to my apartment and when we got to my door, it was open. Like it was cracked open. And it was about 7 p.m. and I know the cable guy window was supposed to be there at like 10 a.m. So she didn't lock my apartment door. Like my door was wide open from 9 a.m. to fucking 7 p.m. when I got home. And the cable guy could not even install the cable that day. Like I don't know what it was, but literally every single Cox Communications guy that came over literally walked into the apartment and said, yeah, I can't do this, and 180'd and walked out. And I remember that I closed all of the doors inside of my apartment because the cable guy was gonna be there and I didn't want him like snooping through my shit. Like, well, my TV was only in the front room and that's where everything was gonna be installed. And when I went in, literally every single one of my doors was wide open. Like I remember vividly that I closed every single one and every single one was open. So our TV was stolen. That was the only thing that was stolen, which is kind of weird because we had a lot of valuable items in our apartment. And so yeah, our TV got stolen, but it really like makes you feel really weird, like once when you know that someone else that you don't know has been inside your apartment and has gone into like your different rooms. Like what the fuck. So that bitch Joanna, she had one fucking job. She was supposed to lock the door after the fucking cable guy left. The cable guy was only in the apartment for like 2 minutes before he was like, yeah, I can't fucking do this, and 180'd and walked out. And that bitch didn't lock the door after him. Like, what the fuck? I'm honestly still fucking so salty about this. So after 3 weeks of not having any cable, Scott's parents managed to run into a guy doing the renovations at the apartment, and he said that he would install it himself. So they ended up taking off all of the cabinets, moving all of our appliances, and putting the wire like behind all that shit. And finally on November 17th, 16 days after I was supposed to move in, we finally spent the night there. Also, I forgot to mention this, the owner had the audacity to say that it wasn't his or his company's fault that my TV got stolen, and which obviously it was all their fault. They left my door open. They put my personal items in jeopardy. Like, what if they stole like my address or like my driver's license or like my social security number? Like, what if I had a dog and they just left the door open and my dog got out and something happened to it? Like, how can you be like so irresponsible? She also had the audacity to say to me, she was like, wow, I felt like something was wrong like when I was leaving work, but I just didn't know what it was. Like, stupid fucking bitch. So living there was terrifying. Like, you would not be able to leave the apartment. Like, myself as a small lady, I would not be able to leave my apartment without being like armed. Like, I would either take like this like little gun that we have, or I would take pepper spray and like 2 knives. Like, I would always have to be armed, even if I was just going to the dumpster, because multiple times I've run into heroin addicts, meth addicts, rummaging through the fucking like dumpster trash, and that's like something you don't expect. Like, it's really scary. And whenever I was there by myself, I would not stay in my living room. I was too scared because we had those shitty like blinds, like the down blinds like this that you like pull back, and you could still like kind of see through them. So I was always scared that someone was gonna see through my blinds and see that I was the only person there and just like kick in my fucking door. Like, that's what I was scared of. So I almost always was in the bedroom, and I would keep all of the lights on, and I would have every single door closed just for like extra time, just in case if someone ever does like kick in my door. There was this guy that lived there that terrified me. He lived a few apartments down from me, and he introduced himself to me and my friend as the Black Prince of Persia of the apartment complex. And this Prince of Persia would come to the door all the fucking time. He came to our door at like 6 a.m. while I was having a party, like a kickback with my friends, and was like, do you guys have any Advil I can borrow? And he even came to my door to ask if he could borrow one of our like pipes, like for like weed. Like, who just knocks on someone's door and says that? He would also always try to smoke with me. He'd be like, I'm gonna be at your apartment in like 5 minutes. Like, cause I would pass him and be like, I'm gonna be up in a few minutes. Like, let's smoke. And I'm like turning off all the lights. I'm like, I'm not fucking home. Like, don't try to smoke with me. Our neighbor was also an abuser. Scott and I would be able to hear him yelling and screaming and throwing things, like yelling at his girlfriend and his child, and then he would always try to come over and like smoke blunts with us like after we got done with that. Another neighbor would walk out of her apartment at 4 a.m., scream at the top of her lungs, 180 it, and then walk back inside of her apartment without saying anything else. And another lady, actually invited me into her apartment when I was getting my mail, and the first thing that she said to me, she asked me if I was an undercover cop. And I like laughed, and she was like, no, I'm serious. Are you an undercover cop? And I was like, no. And then she asked me if I knew where to get prescription painkillers because she was blacklisted. And I'm like, I don't really know anyone that sells those. I'm sorry. She was also a very intimidating woman, and she would pick fights with every single person in the complex. Like, there would not be a night that she would not be yelling at someone. Her apartment's like on the first floor, and she would often yell at my abuser, like fucking neighbor from his apartment. My apartment was upstairs, so they would be yelling like full volume, like through the entire motel apartment complex, so everyone could fucking hear it. So Scott and I never fully unpacked from our apartment, or from moving. We basically like lived on boxes. Scott said that he had a really bad gut feeling about the apartment, and like I in my mind knew that my apartment was not nice, but I was like, this is better than living with my mom still. Like, I really enjoyed like the independence that the apartment gave me, but it also made me really scared. So it turned out to be a really good thing that we didn't unpack, because on December 1st, we got a 5-day eviction notice. So the owner decided to take back the deal that he said that he would do for us, and didn't tell us anything about it. And he said that the 3 months free of rent was only for studio apartments or 2-bedroom apartments, which he was not even present when we like signed our lease. He was on vacation, and so he said, yeah, that's fine. So on our lease it did say that we would get 3 months free of rent and a furnished apartment, and they could never find the furniture for us. So we had 5 days to either come up with over $1,000 or basically get the fuck out. So we obviously got out. So basically Scott's stepdad got the owner to dissolve the lease without it going onto our credit, and I never got the $450 refundable deposit back, even though we left our apartment in better condition than we moved in. And the apartment manager, fucking Joanna, even said that. So we moved out the same week. We moved everything that we had to our new apartment in 1 day. Everything. So now I'm living in a great, safe space. I live with a bunch of amazing people. Like, it's mainly like families and like old people, like my old grandma, like neighbor. She's like so sweet. She always talks to Scott and I don't feel the need to walk around the complex like armed with like 2 or 3 different kinds of weapons. I've not seen one crazy drug addict. No one's asked me into their apartment to ask them or ask me to sell them drugs. Like, I'm in a really good spot, and this apartment is cheaper and it's in a better like area. So I've definitely learned my lesson. So lessons that you can learn from me: 1, definitely trust your gut feeling. Like, don't let yourself get too excited about the thought of moving into an apartment. Really take your time and make sure that it's actually a good apartment. 2, don't let people take advantage of you. We fought Joanna and the owner every single step of the way. We did not let that bitch fuck with us. We did not stop giving her shit for keeping our door open all day. Like, we were fucking on them. And to be an adult, you really have to be like assertive. Like, I was very, very scared to seem like stern and like hold my place and like be very, very strong, like a strong, independent woman. Like, that's what you have to become when you are an apartment owner. It's like, people will walk all the fuck over you. So that's my story for you guys. If you have apartment horror stories, please tell me in the comments below. I would like love to read it. And if you guys have any advice for anyone else trying to find an apartment or move out, please leave it below, because I wish I had more help when I got my first apartment. But thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed these stony story times, make sure to give it a thumbs up. My thumb is so ashy. I'm not gross, I promise. Please let me know in the comments below if you want more stony story times also, and what I should talk about. So yeah, thanks guys. I'll see you in my next video. Bye!